Hello,
Oh,
who's this?
Tabitha.
Oh, hi, Tabitha. Can you see the slides okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have a pretty good day?
Yes, sir.
Well, we'll wait another minute or two, see if anybody else is going to join us.
All right, that's fine.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and start. If somebody else joins us, I'll introduce them. Let's go ahead and start the week 5, the final live meeting for the legal research class. And maybe this is a good, I'm not sure if this is a good one to end on, um, but certainly a beneficial one. And we've kind of talked about throughout the course in regards to these secondary authorities. And so it's probably good that we kind of discuss all of them individually. They obviously are very important to legal research. And in most cases, when you're just starting out doing legal research as a paralegal, you're going to rely on these secondary sources quite a bit because you're trying to educate yourself about the various areas of the law that you're covering and that you need some guidance as to really where to start. As you become more experienced, and especially if you're working for a firm that does some similar work, then the firm is going to have a lot of resources, and just you yourself are going to be better educated about the kinds of the areas of the law, the cases that you look for. You're going to have an easier time in finding it, and that in many cases your legal research may just be you're updating the cases from the last search that you did, just to make sure nothing has changed since you did the last research. And the authors kind of have a good introduction in the book that kind of helps you leads you through what we're really talking about here. And they discuss the fact that you certainly use the keywords for your secondary sources. And when we're talking about secondary sources, we're primarily talking about legal encyclopedias, the legal dictionaries, a compilation known as American Law Reports. I'll talk about that in some detail too. Law review articles, form books, practice books, and we'll talk about those all in more detail. But certainly, excuse me, especially doing your research in the encyclopedias, the keywords that you found are going to be important. And the legal encyclopedia is just like a regular encyclopedia that you're familiar with. We start with the subjects identified as A on through to if there's something legal that's Z. I can't think of anything right now, but you're going to start and you can go through and you look under each letter to find the area of the law that you're looking for. The American Law Reviews, American Law Reports are a good source for this reason. They identify different cases by in other words, they take a chapter and go through the various steps involving in the case that you're looking for. So if you had a case involving someone who had trespassed onto someone's property and that person had become injured, and the issue is the owner liable to this person who has trespassed, you would find an article, the liability of a landowner to a trespasser if that trespasser is injured. And the advantage is, in addition to going step by step in the article, the American law reports are very annotated so that they cite cases and statutes from all over the country to help you identify those. One disadvantage is generally you're going to be researching a particular state, and you just have to be lucky if you find cases in American law reports in your particular state. But what it can do is, if you go to those cases, especially with Westlaw, it will give you the head notes that you can then use in the state that you're researching to find the cases. So it's a valuable resource as well. Again, the idea is, especially when you're just starting out, is that you're going to want to educate yourself on the particular area of the law that you're doing the research on, so that you can eventually narrow the search to the specific case law that you're looking for. Now, the authors refer to what I've mentioned before, that these secondary authorities were very important back in my day when you were doing research by books, by the law books, because you needed to find these keywords so that you could use them in the encyclopedias and the American law reports, in the other secondary sources. With the advent of the internet databases, this is becoming less and less of a problem, because the internet databases allow you to do a search just using keywords. And so you may be able to find the case law that you're looking for just by doing a keyword search in one of the databases. So it may have lessened the use of the encyclopedias and the other secondary authorities, but it certainly hasn't eliminated them, because they're always going to be a good source to help you kind of get started with the search that you're doing. Now, another good source of secondary authority are law review articles. And again, as I've mentioned before, the authors have gone through listing all of the various ways that you search under the different databases: Westlaw, Lexis, Lois Law, CaseMaker, all of those. I don't think that's very beneficial to what we're looking at, because you're gonna be educated in the database that you're using. The law review articles are, every law school in the United States has a group of students, and it's usually the most intelligent students in the law school. And they actually do research in certain legal areas, and they write articles about the research that they've done. And so that's why the law reviews are such a good source, because they again, like American Law Reports, they're going to narrow down to just specific cases. So that if you find a law review article that covers the situation, the case that you're looking for, that's going to be a good resource because they're going to go step by step in all of the elements of the case that you're dealing with. So the law review is certainly a good source. Now, there are some law reviews that are a little better than some of the other law schools. Obviously, Harvard, Yale, the Ivy League schools, all of those are going to probably have the best articles. Cornell Law School is another that has a very good source, but it certainly can be every law school in the United States. And again, here's an advantage if you're just doing research in a particular state, because then you have the law within your state. So if you go to a law review article in the state that you're doing, that the law firm you're working for practices in, then that's going to be an advantage because it's only going to cover your state laws. So again, that's a good, the law review articles are going to be a good source. The authors give you, and we've talked about these before, there are certain general areas that you can start with. And the website FindLaw that we've mentioned before can help you find some of these law review articles. And again, the authors even mention Cornell Law, which is one that I mentioned that evidently has a very good selection. Now, I'm kind of shocked the authors mention Wikipedia as a source, and I know some students this week have mentioned Wikipedia as being a secondary source, and I just feel like Wikipedia should never be used as a secondary source if you're doing legal research. It certainly doesn't hurt, one of the students mentioned, if you wanted to go to just get general knowledge about a subject. The big problem with Wikipedia is everybody can post on Wikipedia. It doesn't matter what your educational level is or what your expertise is, and you're entitled to go onto the website and you can make changes to the Wikipedia articles. So there's always a chance of an error, and you certainly don't want to get off to the wrong start as far as being confused about a certain subject. So I just don't recommend Wikipedia at all to start any kind of law review search. And I'm really surprised that the authors of the textbook are using that as an example. I just don't think it's a valid source for doing legal research. But they mentioned it in the textbook. Now, another area that another type of secondary source, these you find in every state, are practice books, horn books, restatements, and other explanatory material. Now, the advantages here are the practice books, and again, usually this is in the state where you're doing your research. The practice books are written by experienced lawyers who give you kind of a step-by-step way, kind of a practical way to handle a case. And in many of these practice books, they will actually lead you step by step. Here's a copy of the complaint you use. Here's how you serve the defendants. Here's the law behind that. And the practice books are very beneficial because these are actual practicing attorneys that have the knowledge within that area. And again, if let's say you were doing a mortgage foreclosure, they will lay out step by step the various ways that you handle a mortgage foreclosure, and they will give you the details in that practice book. So they're very beneficial if you happen to find one that is in the area that you're looking. The Horn books are written by usually excuse me, experienced attorneys who have become really experts in a field, and they may write on a particular subject. They could be law school professors. They could even be Supreme Court justices. They're going to try to explain a certain area of the law in a little more detail, so they're going to be a good source. The restatements are a good source for this reason. The group that publishes these restatements is made up of legal scholars, judges, experienced attorneys, law school professors, and they sit down and try to gather all of the legal material within a particular subject. And so you can find in the law libraries such volumes as a restatement of contracts. In other words, they've taken the law of contracts and gone through all of the areas that are involved with contracts. And so, and it's well annotated so that you're going to have case law cited in the restatement. And it's kind of an accepted way that this is the current status of the law. And you can have restatements in personal injury in all areas of the law, restatement of estate, probate, all of these areas are, and these volumes are published for the education of attorneys and paralegals. So there, of course, are a good source of those as well. The book also mentions, the textbook also mentions some other sources that Westlaw and Lexis use, and these other areas could, if you were doing research, give you just some general knowledge of a particular legal area. And both Westlaw, Lexis, and the other databases have some of these organized that you can do research in, certain legal periodicals, certain just general information that might help you do a search and at least educate you about what particular area that you're looking at. And again, the general news is would cover a broader area than just the legal secondary sources, which are only dealing with case law. And in some cases, you may want a broader understanding of the various areas that you're looking at. So that this is a summary of the secondary sources. You're certainly going to want to use these to get started, because it's always going to be difficult when you're trying to do research in a new area. That the biggest hurdle that you overcome is really educating yourself on the details of the legal matters involved there. So I'm going to conclude the week 5 meeting at this point. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. Tabitha, did you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, well, you have a good weekend.
Yes. Hated Easter.
Good luck with the final.
All right.